I am going to go buy a stim pack and stab myself with it.
Okay. Easy enough to find those about.
To try and get a leg up on this the sheer amount of healing I have to do. Stim packs are 25. Dang, why couldn't it have been 20? Although I'm not one of those players who, when it's like, oh, this costs 5 gold. I'm not one of those players like, I give him 7. It's like, why? Because now I have a 0 at the end of my number.
You're not a type A personality to that level at the very least.
Automatically heal 5 wounds. Awesome. That's... That's significant. In fact, I'm going to buy a couple extra.
Go for it.
I'm just going to...
And it does, keep 2. You know it has diminishing returns if you use them the same day.
Yeah, wait, I did that wrong. That's that. Just for the future more than... more so than right now. I just should probably keep a couple of those on.
Alright. You're certainly able to go and buy some stim packs.
Now's probably not the time for the grenade launcher.
It's always time for the grenade launcher.
Is now time for the grenade launcher? Superior customizations are 5 grand pretty much across the board, even for blaster rifles. But that'd be pretty much all my money, so I'm probably not going to do that right now. I tend to like to keep a little bit of money around just in case like something comes up that you either have to buy your way out of or into or stuff like that, so I don't necessarily want to spend. I guess that would leave me with 845, which wouldn't be bad. I'm going to hold off.
Okay. And also, I mean, you don't have any grenades at the moment.
So well, yeah, but the superior customization.
Oh, the superior.
The grenade launcher is 2,000. If I can even get... If I can even get a hold of it, because it's technically a restricted item. And grenades aren't too expensive, except for thermal detonators. Thermal detonators are expensive and restricted.
They are expensive with good reason.
Thermal detonator.
Looking at the stats for it helps make sense of why everyone's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Chill out, man. They are no joke.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess there's not necessarily much point in keeping track of Imperial bounties at the moment because most of those are probably going to require me to go off-world.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose I'll just help
with the ship.
Help Garrow work on his fancy prize and heal up a bit.
Okay.
For a couple days.
For the sake of brevity, we'll say if you're not wanting to go out and do anything else, you're just helping with this. Before anyone reaches out to you for anything, maybe there's going to be 3 days of working. So you'll, as far as your recoupment, and go ahead and roll me 3 mechanics checks for the 3 days of work. And those be it'll be 2 average and 1 hard.
2 average and 1 hard. Goes up to that. I assume, just gonna double check, I assume toolkits don't give any bonuses. It's just like, you have the things you need to make the check.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. First average is 1 advantage.
Okay.
The second one is 1 failure, 1 advantage. And then the hard check is 1 threat.
Overall, you and Garrow working on this one, it's not particularly a productive 3 days. It seems like for every problem that he finds, that you guys find and solve, you also find 1 or 2 new problems that need solving. And before, like at the start of these days, he was basically just like, get this part in and we're good. And he's like, get the part, and he's like, oh, well then now this isn't working, this isn't working. So like, it kind of spirals into 3 days of like more or less staying at an even level of problems needing solved and problems that are solved. It doesn't seem like you catastrophically ruin the ship or anything, but you uncover a lot of new issues that need fixing. At the end of those 3 days, however, the comlink is gonna go off. Someone's going to you're gonna hear like someone trying to contact you through it, and they tell you that there is some work needing immediate attention. Time is of the essence.
Okay. Are you going to tell me what it is so I can solve it, or do I need to come into the...
Are you available right now?
Yes.
And you don't... This voice is not a voice you recognize as being Kadan Tazi's.
I was about to say, I've talked to one person.
Mm-hmm. It's not the one person you recognize. But he says, yeah, and are you somewhere private?
I can be.
Get somewhere private and let me know when you're ready for the briefing.
Go ahead.
He's going to lay this out for you. He says, as from what I overheard has been shared with you by Kadan, we are branching into mercenary work. I assume you are familiar with the Black Sun organization.
Yes. Why?
As I'm sure you are aware, Black Sun primarily operates in that same field of mercenaries. They're more or less a small army for hire in different chunks. And because of this, we need to ensure that they realize Nar Shaddaa is not open for mercenary work. We have been trying to find a way to send that message very clearly to them, and have gotten a good opportunity to do so. A member of the ruling council of the Black Sun, a Faline named Nuvi Saldo, has been sighted on world. Our understanding is that he is on world, on the run, leaving the organization. However, they want him back. Our mission for you is to find and eliminate Nuvi Saldo to send a message to this organization. He's not a particularly dangerous individual, being a bureaucrat of a crime organization, more or less, for his entire life. However, the complicating part of this is a very well-renowned bounty hunter by the name of Talon Murthus is also on world and has been hired by the Black Sun Syndicate to apprehend and return this individual, by our understanding, alive. We need you to eliminate Nuvi Saldo, implicate Nebula Syndicate in the doing of so, while ideally avoiding Talon Murthus for your own safety and for the good of future deals with him. And if you'd like to make a underworld or streetwise, you definitely can. And it'll be average.
4 successes, 2 threats.
You know that Nuvi Saldo, like the Nuvi Saldo, that name isn't particularly familiar to you, but you know the fact that he's a Faline, that like they're kind of like a almost serpent-like species. That species almost entirely populates like the upper echelon of the Black Suns. So clearly he's probably a fairly high-ranking member if he's that species. This is like who the ruling council of that organization are, more or less. The threat and the other success, you have heard of Talon Murthus. He is a very well-known and widely feared bounty hunter in this part of space. He's known as like a very like a well-established, very effective, and fairly ruthless bounty hunter in this area. That one of those names that's like, oh god, if Murthus is after him, someone must really want him dead, or must really want this person back. And with that, we'll say you also know Talon Murthus is an Iktochi, which is the like one with the horns that come down along their side there. You know, that's his species. And that he's usually... That's his species they know because they can see those horns coming out of his usual, like, heavy battle armor he's wearing when he's hunting people down.
Is the Nebula Syndicate willing to... I don't want to use the word loan because that's technically not correct because they won't get them back. So Nebula Syndicate willing to provide a disposable... somebody disposable in uniform. Preferably somebody that's decent with a blaster, but somebody that is... they're not going to come back.
He's going to...
Either way, they're not going to come back.
Is this required to implicate the Syndicate in this action?
It would be quite easy to do so.
Does it require that the individual is actually a well-founded member of the Syndicate, or just someone who would look like that?
It just pretty much just needs to be somebody in uniform.
We can provide a escort for this mission in Syndicate gear.
Appreciate it.
Where should we send them?
Do you know where this do you know where this Black Sun bureaucrat might be? Or just that they're on world?
What we know is that Talon Murthus is looking all over and on the hunt for him. This information is a day or two old, so we don't know how close he is to catching him. Knowing his reputation, close if not already having him in his under his, what's the word I'm looking for? In bonds, right? However, what we understand is that this Faline has been spotted primarily near our district, blowing large amounts of money on sabak tables. Living it up in the casinos around here.
In that case, I'll just swing by your headquarters and pick up my escort.
Very well.
I'm not a good person. I might leave Skull here for this one.
Okay.
Obviously he's hecka good in a fight. But it'll be easier to escape on my own. And the speeder sort of only has, at least my speeder only has 2 seats. Mm-hmm. So, just for the sake of that, I think I'll leave Skull here. Also, he's at least as he's probably more recognizable than I am.
At least as recognizable, if not more. You don't see a whole lot of B2 battle droids around, and you definitely don't see a whole lot.
And I wouldn't mind getting a kind of heavy cloak or robe,
okay.
just to give a little bit of.
Do you mind looking at the concealing robes in there?
Just to try and not like.
It wasn't just any Shistavanen, it was a Shistavanen in a robe. That one's not wearing a robe. Clearly, it wasn't him.
Well, I just want to make it at least a little harder. Concealing robes in here are $150 price-wise, and it's the exact same statistically as heavy clothing. It's just one soaked.
I'd say you could definitely buy that. It wouldn't look like the Jedi concealing robe.
Right.
It would probably be a more shady underworld concealing robe. But you're definitely able to wear that if you'd like to.
That's much. Concealing robes add. It's just a black setback die to checks to notice or recognize an individual wearing them.
Okay.
But look,
Doesn't hurt.
and there are things about like bounty hunters code wise about like not getting involved with another bounty hunter's hunt, even though those rules can be interpreted loosely.
They can be very loosely interpreted.
So I would just
At the very least, the more direct rules, you're not supposed to like kill another bounty hunter just because you're both after the same bounty.
right,
sort
and
of
I would
thing.
like, and they're supposed to
First come,
at
first
least
serve.
at times help each other out.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
I would just like to make as few enemies as possible over the course of my rise to power. There'll be enough.
You're
of
gonna
them
have to step on plenty of people to get to the top. Make sure that those people don't have pointy heads, I guess, because when you're stepping on them, that could hurt your feet.
Or make sure they don't survive the experience.
Exactly.
Or make sure it's just like the Empire, which everybody hates.
Yeah.
The Empire hates everyone. It's just the way everything works. What was this? What was this, guys? Not the bounty hunter. Well, I should write down the bounty hunter's name too. But
So the bounty hunter's name is here. Talon, Talin, Mirthos, Mirthas. Talon Mirthos. He's the Iktachi bounty hunter. The Black Sun guy is a Faleen, which is like Falleen, and his name is Nuvi, Nuvi, Saldo, Saldo.
Louis Saldo. I'll head straight over to Black Sun. Or not straight over to the Black Sun. Tell them everything that they just told me.
You know, there isn't a Black Sun like outpost here.
Apparently they want one.
Apparently, at the very least, the Nebula Syndicate seems to be cocky. Seems like an interesting group to intentionally
Have
piss
you
off.
heard of the Black Sun? Yeah, why?
Go shit in their Oreo.
And
Go
make
shit in
sure
their
that,
cereal
and
tell
make
them
sure, yeah,
we
make sure they
told
know
you.
we did it.
Seems like they're very much wanting to send a message here, and it's a pretty bold one.
Well, at least they're not having me claim I did it. They're having me claim they did it. So, okay, fellas. I'll go pick up my my hired hand, my extra gun.
Yeah. You're a newfoundling agent of the organization who's on his first assignment. Look at this guy. When you leave there, the Garo's like, well, I doubt you're gonna be useful for much other than holding a vibro wrench. But come over here, droid, help me out, and I'll probably have him try and help with some mechanics work.
Trust me. If anybody tries to rob you while I'm gone, they won't.
They won't. And when you arrive there, clearly this heavy is like he's in. It's not like the merc armor that you've seen them wear is like full armor, like covering everything. He's in like piecemeal armor that like is of that syndicate, and he's got like a helmet that's like open face. That's the same sort of style as that stuff, and he's definitely got markings of the Nebula Syndicate on him. He clearly is a Nikto. Do you ask him his name? Do you want to know the name of the person you're about to do whatever you're about to do to them, or do you just he doesn't introduce him?
Well, see, I'm going back and forth because my plan is to kill. Well, my plan is either I or the bounty hunter kills him, and it's just done. But it's also quite convenient if we kill the target and the bounty hunter takes this guy alive, because this guy will absolutely tell them everything they want to know about. Like, yep, it was these people. They hired a guy to do it. They're the ones who shit in your Cheerios. And if that happens, I don't necessarily want him knowing my name. And I don't know. I suppose I kind of like the spookiness too. Of like, we're not dealing in names. Like, you know what the job is. Like, stick with me and you'll be fine. And then later shoot him in the back.
Shoot his kneecap out and walk away.
So just in case, I'll kind of give him that speech about, like...
He seems like somebody who's probably been muscle for a number of lesser organizations. Who seems to be like, oh, my big break, my chance to work with the Syndicate.
Right.
Like, he seems like he's been told, like, you're in charge, don't ask questions. So you feel like you'd be able to not tell him things, and he would respect that.
So, like, I'll tell him is, like, this is an assassination. We are tracking a target. There is a bounty hunter involved as well, trying to take this target alive. So if you see big fella, heavy armor, horns, call it out. Like, we're not dealing in names here. This is, but I need a gun. I'm told you're reliable.
Flattery.
I want this man to trust me completely.
Then give me
and tell him, like, I don't care what you call me. You can call me dog. I don't care. But, like,
we don't deal in names.
We're not dealing in names.
Go ahead and give me an easy deception check. Because this guy wants to be lied to about this.
One success.
Okay.
And
says, got it. You got it, boss.
And we'll start by we'll just start by hitting a couple of the casinos. I mean, this is all kind of Nebula Syndicate territory, more or less, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to make, especially like talking to doormen or, people running any of the tables or bartenders, stuff like that. I want to make a show of, like, I'm here with
someone from
with a person from a syndicate, like
you walking around with a syndicate, like, heavy as, like, your right hand, like, guy over your shoulder. You notice that there's immediate kind of respect and fear from anyone in this section of anyone probably on world, but especially this section. It seems like none of these casinos are owned by the syndicate, right, but all of them probably pay the syndicate protection money. And so approaching any of these areas, people are, like, a doorman seeing that's just like no questions asked, lets you guys come in.
So I'll start with doormen and bartenders at sort of string of casinos, and as well as, like, dealers and stuff like that, of just like, or heads of security or anybody like that. Just like
the name you're given of, like, where the information was, like, last seen kind of stuff for the syndicate, was a cantina / casino. It's like one of the biggest, nicest ones in this part of town, called Starlight.
Wow.
The owner is a Twi'lek named Rolona.
I haven't. This is probably the fanciest place I've ever been, at least on this planet.
They've let you enter into.
Yes, yeah, like floor managers, dealers, like security guards, even stuff like that. Just asking if there's, like, asking about the Falling that was, like, spending a lot of money, sort of making a lot of noise. Okay. An off-worlder. There's
a doorman for the Starlight, who like a bouncer, who seems to be a human or human adjacent species that's fairly heavily cybernetically enhanced. And you can, like, there's a decent line to get into the Starlight.
I'll walk past him.
Yeah, you walk right up, and with the company you're keeping, he just, like, gestures for you to go right in, and there's kind of some, like, huffs from people, but then they notice who's with them. Don't start shit. Seems like, if you got, like, hot Twi'lek with you, you could probably get in easier, but a bunch of, like, a sausage party of Niktos and Weequays aren't going anywhere.
I walk up with a Gamorrean under either
a hefty Gamorrean lass.
We're just out to party, hitting the casinos.
But yeah, he does not seem to interpose himself when he notices that you're coming with Nebula Syndicate Heavy. Are you talking to that doorman?
I'll start by asking him.
Go ahead and give me a average negotiation. I'll give you blue on it.
One threat.
One threat. He's going to kind of. He's just going to say, no. No, just say no. Not seen the guy, but I'm one of plenty of people who watch this door, so I wouldn't be. If he's here, someone else might have seen him.
Fair enough. Appreciate the help.
He gets on his comm. He's coming for you. Go, boss, go.
Donkey punch him into the wall. And sprint through the casino with a gun in the air and look for anybody running for cover, I guess. I don't know. We'll head inside.
Inside, this is a pretty poppin' spot. It seems like more of the... Like, there's very much like kind of a dance floor area that's very EDM
Right.
looking, like very like bright lights around, lots of people probably on spice, like vibe into music going on. The music is less
Right.
and more like cybo EDM shit. There's a number of waiters and waitresses kind of going around, bringing people drinks, bringing people food. There's a number of tables set up all over where different games are being played, different bets are being had. There's a large set of screens set on one wall that you can see. Looks like there's pod races as well as different like droid and animal fighting ring things that are up on different screens that people are clearly betting on, getting drunk and losing credits. At the like main bar itself, there's a number of droids walking around serving people, and there seems to be one kind of head bartender for this particular place, which appears to be an Ortolan, which is one of those blue elephant people.
Oh.
He seems to have, like, it's a fairly high bar for how tall they are. He seems to be on some sort of, like, it's like a circular track, and he has some, I don't know how to describe it other than, like, a baby chair that's, like, that he can, like, control that spins him around to wherever he wants to be at to like, talk to people and bartend. And, yeah. Go and give me a perception check. An easy one, too.
For either a person in heavy battle armor or a
general view of
or a Falleen spending a bunch of money and making a fool of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two things I'm mostly looking for.
Yes.
3 successes, 1 threat.
3 successes, 1 threat. You do not see the Falleen spending money anywhere. You do see what appears to be Iktachi in like basically picture Boba Fett, but with horns coming out of the side and not clearly a Mandalorian face mask. Like there's clearly a dude here. He's got like a fairly augmented heavy battle rifle on his back. He's got a set of blaster pistols on his hip, probably other weapons hidden elsewhere. And he seems to be speaking, like there's a section of the bar that seems to be a little bit damaged. That's like kind of jacked up, like some broken tables and stuff that people aren't sitting at, and he appears to be talking to a couple of the like not bouncers, but like the kind of, he's talking to one very well dressed and very kind of extravagant looking female Twi'lek, as well as a couple of other people who are around him. And that's, yeah. So you notice him, but you don't notice the Falleen yet.
I'll go. I suppose I'll talk to the bartender.
Okay.
Because he seems to be talking to the boss lady.
Yeah, you just kind of
And,
assume that looking at her that she might be the owner.
She's somebody important.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with the bartender.
Coming up, a droid kind of approaches you at first because he's kind of elsewhere. What can I get you, sir? And your bouncer guy kind of looks like turned, like he's watching your back.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Something strong for my companion here, and a word with your boss.
Right away, and he's gonna turn about, and you see he kind of like turns. It's like a droid that's basically like a track, like a little tank almost, like little wheels roll around. That's like a straight pole with like 6 different arms at different levels on it that like spin around, and like two of the arms turn.
It's not R2 with that like drink straight thing.
Yeah, no. It's like a droid built like it's kind of mixing up something with 2 hands as the other head kind of turns and calls out, and he calls out, Roscat. Patron wants to speak with you. And then it kind of, those 2 arms spin back around and set a drink down in front of you. and an arm reaches over you and grabs it, and the guy starts drinking it behind you. And then you can see Roscat, this little Ortolan, is that like finishes that, like just kind of just one hand, like finishes like a conversation with somebody, and he kind of there's like this little like baby chair thing, as he's like, and it like and slides over to be right in front of you. How can I help you?
We're on Nebula business, unfortunately. Understand Phyllis had a looks like pretty loud customer in here, motioning to the...
Like, there's been... actually, go ahead and give me... We'll call it an average negotiation. I will give you a blue for your affiliation.
2 advantages.
2 advantages. It's going to say, yeah, there's a bit of a scuffle. The individual over there is a bounty hunter who's after somebody. It would appear, though, that financially it's being sorted between... The damage dealt there seem to be being paid for. And they're negotiating on that at the moment.
Assume Pauline was somehow involved here?
He's going to kind of eye you and like look over at the Nebula guy behind you, who's kind of like... sets the empty cup down and kind of over your shoulder. He's going to be like... Feline might have been in the bit of a scuffle that broke out, yeah?
Was Talon Murthis over there involved in this scuffle?
Well, looks sort of like, depends on just how interested in that information you are.
All I really need to know is if the Pauline left at a dead sprint, in a body bag, or dragged out of here in cuffs.
He's going to say, how about you buy one more hearty drink? And he kind of like shuffles a hand out. And all for the barkeep, of course. And it might jog my memory.
I'll take something strong. He's already had one, so he should have something a little more watered down. Just, I need him sharp. I'm more than happy to throw in a tip as well. I'll do. You know what? I want to check and see how much expensive something is, because there's something that I think it's in the Sons of Corellia book. I think there is Corellian whiskey.
Okay.
There's a bottle of Corellian whiskey, and that's like I'm gonna check and see how much that is if my laptop will turn on. Oi, wake up, you. I mean, if it's ludicrously expensive, then I'm not gonna do it, but. That sort of sounds like fun. Let's see here. Sons of Fortune, Corellia Sector. I think this is the one with Corellian whiskey. It'd be weird if it wasn't. Corellian whiskey? Yeah, if you want that, you're gonna have to go to Nalhutta.
I mean, you're you're on a moon that's circulating around Nalhutta right now.
Oh, I just saw a picture of it flash by. Wait, no, that's something. It's some other alcohol. Corellian whiskey. One bottle's 25. I'll pay 50.
Okay. So you give him 50 and ask for a bottle of Corellian whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He'll be like, and a generous tip. Let me get that for you right away. And he pushes a different button on the little console thing, and one of the droids comes whizzing around holding this bottle and drops it off in front of you, and then whizzes around another direction. He'll pop the top on it, the space bottle, the vibro bottle cap. With his vibro bottle opener.
Uses a vibro bottle opener, pops the cork out, puts the cork down, and it just vibrates away.
Vibrates off the table. And he's going to kind of like lean in towards you, like, I'm going to speak more quietly here because I don't want to piss off somebody. And he's going to say, there was a very brief scuffle. The individual you're, I think, looking for got dragged out of here unconscious. not but maybe half an hour ago. And then the individual returned to make right on the damages done.
Well, I appreciate the information that I obviously didn't get from you.
What information?
He's darn bartender droids. Just
very
always,
loose,
always,
trunked.
always telling stories.
Can't find good help anywhere.
Well, if it was a half hour ago, he can't be all that far if he left and returned. What's the closest spaceport?
You know where the closest.
I'll head that way.
Okay.
Hopefully, I can sort this while he's sorting that. This table's obviously only worth 200 credits.
200? I paid 400 credits for this table.
I'm a carpenter in my spare time. This table? No.
When I'm not murdering and tracking down the scum of the galaxy, I am a fine table maker.
He's such a good table maker that he convinces his captured bounties to buy tables. He drops them off and they have a table. Why do you have a table? Why did you convince me to buy one?
Look at the craftsmanship, the quality.
We're about to execute you. I know, but I couldn't pass up on this opportunity.
I want to leave something good behind for my loved ones. You can make it there, and what is your? It's a decent sized yard nearby here. Seems like fairly affluent people probably come and go from this area.
I'm looking for a ship that looks hot rodded or aggressive, or if there's a lot of pleasure yachts and stuff like that here. I'm looking for the ship that isn't.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a average perception. Or a hard streetwise, your call. I'll let you streetwise. It's less about. It's about noticing the right things instead of just noticing. But it'll be a little harder to do.
Average perception's probably better.
Okay.
They both use cunning, but I have a rank in streetwise, but it would be more difficult as well. And I'll do that. One failure, one advantage.
Looking about this particular space dock, you don't notice any ships that look like something a bounty hunter would be in. So you're fairly confident his ship is not in this particular yard. Go ahead and roll me a we'll call it easy intelligence. It'll be or intellect. It'll be a knowledge check.
3 success, 1 threat.
You can only think of one other shipyard's a little further away, but if he was moving pretty quickly, his ship could be in. It tends to be... It's one that's also fairly affluent and has, a security detail. There's, to get into the shipyard, you have to have a ship in the shipyard, typically.
Maybe being with the Nebula contact will get me through that, but maybe not. Well, I'll head there.
Okay.
That's... I don't think he would put this guy somewhere else. I'm pretty sure he would take him back to his ship, so... The
good news is that you think, the 30-minute mark is by walking. And so you're using a speeder, so you're making that time shorter. So you think this guy, unless he was considerably further away but took a speeder, you didn't see a car out front that had bounty hunt the bad guy written on the side of it or anything, so you don't know that. These are the two that are in the walking distance of 30 minutes. And you can arrive there. You know where it's at. You know the planet, the moon fairly well. You arrive outside there. There's kind of a security checkpoint. So, a couple of people that, they're basically wearing they basically look like bellhops. They're wearing
oh yeah,
they're wearing kind of red vested, fairly nice clothing, but they have blaster pistols, like blaster pistols on their hip.
Well, I'll tell my hired gun to set his blaster for stun.
Okay.
There's no point in... We need to get in there, but there's no point in killing these guys. So.
And as you can approach the checkpoint, and there's 2 of these individuals there.
Yeah, I'll just pull up to the checkpoint, wait for one of them to...
Yeah, he'll kind of walk up to you and be like, and he'll just be, what would be the word for this? Vibro ticket, please. Everything's vibro. And he'll just kind of walk up and be like, do you have a pass?
Stun.
Just stunning him?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and I'll give you the element of surprise on this one. And it'll be a cool from you, and then a vigilance from the one that I assume will still be conscious.
Oh, we're just straight to initiative.
You're gonna get one like this. That's why the other guy's also gonna roll though, because there's 2 in earshot here.
So wait, we're rolling initiative, or I'm rolling an attack?
Both. You can choose the order.
I'm rolling attack first.
Okay. Close range.
And I'll aim because of quick draw.
Mm-hmm.
2 successes. So that's 10 stun damage.
Goes down. And then go ahead and roll me a cool. And I'll roll
3 successes. Wow.
Damn.
That's awful good on my initiative roll.
I will roll a cool from your friend. You got how many successes?
3.
You got 2. Not too bad for your friend. The other guy will roll and 1 success, couple advantage, so he will be last. So you stun him. You're hey, and the other guy's kind of like scrambling for his light blaster pistol on his hip, and it's your turn again.
Aim.
He's also close range.
Yeah, close range. 5. 1 success, 4 advantages. So
still enough. This guy's got 4 stun. you quick draw through that turn and hit the other one. Your guy behind you is kind of like reaching, like getting ready to aim his gun, but is nowhere near as quick as you are.
And I'm not going to bother moving the bodies because I'm fine with the bounty hunter approaching this situation cautiously and weapons drawn when he arrives here in like 15 minutes.
Go ahead and do you move into this area? You think there's maybe more of these kind of security guys around, but you use stun, not blaster, so you don't hear an immediate response of people moving around elsewhere, and they seem to only be the only 2 at that checkpoint. And go ahead and roll me a perception. This one will be easy because this is laid out in a way where it's a little easier to see shapes.
1 failure, 1 advantage.
You do not see it on this level. But you notice that there's other levels.
Level up or level down?
There's 2 levels up.
Okay.
This is like the bottom floor. Moving up to the next one. Are you taking the stairs or the vibro vader? The elevator.
I'll take the elevator.
Ding. Ding. 2nd floor. Walking out, you can give me another one of those perception checks. See?
3 successes.
On this floor, you definitely see a ship that could be a bounty hunter ship. The other ones, again, more of these are like pleasure yachts or like kind of high-end, high-class sort of looking vehicles. You notice one that stands out compared to that normal sort of looking thing. There is what looks like a fairly heavily modded Carax's light starfighter. If you want to look it up, you can. But it seems like a starfighter that's got... You've kind of seen... It's a fairly regularly used starfighter model for like bounty hunters and gang members, stuff like that, syndicate people. However, this one seems to be fairly heavily armored, and its engines seem much larger than they typically would be. It seems like it's kind of modded up to be faster and more heavily armored.
Let's go check it out.
Okay, go up to it and looking it over. I'm not going to make you roll a check to see, like, it's a fairly small fighter. Like, there's only 1 seat in it. It's a little bulkier than average because of the increased armor and the engines being larger and like the housing for the engines is larger, but there only appears to be the one seat and the one cockpit at a cursory glance of this thing.
Literally just like just have somebody jammed in a suitcase. Can I do a mechanics check for any like especially any like controls or anything that look like it might open a hatch or a compartment?
Give me a hard mechanics to kind of look over this thing and see if there's any sort of sign of something like that.
One failure.
One failure. Looking it over, you don't notice any controls or any sort of functional thing on the outside of this that seems like it would work for that. Like to open another compartment or anywhere. There seems to be something that probably opened the cockpit that's probably encoded to need the right clearance to open it, but you don't find any other controls.
I'll tell the Heavy to stay here and keep an eye on that ship, and I'm gonna go up and check the third floor.
Okay.
Because this is probably it, but I'll make sure.
All right.
I'll take the stairs.
Okay.
Feels probably not faster, but feels faster.
It gives you something to do instead of sitting there waiting, which makes you feel like you're accomplishing it
exactly.
quicker. Going up there, go and give me another easy perception.
Three advantages.
3 advantages. There are no ships on this floor currently.
Oh. I see
that
nothing,
you notice
because there's nothing up here to see. Okay, so that's probably the ship.
Go ahead and give me a moderate mechanics check. Or you could make it streetwise if you want. Kind of different things.
I'll try streetwise. 1 success, 1 threat.
You think that you know that if there is secret compartments on a ship for someone who does a line of work like that, typically they're going to be inside the cockpit, not somewhere on the outside, to make it harder for someone to open it. Right. It's pretty common for something like that to
I just mean like getting this guy into a smuggler compartment in a cockpit sounds harder than getting this guy into a smuggler compartment.
You think that, like, if there's an external thing that opens that you can't see, the controls are probably inside the ship, not on the outside, to make them more secure.
Try and get inside it anyway. I do not want to have to fight this bounty hunter. It'd be most convenient for me if he would shoot the other guy, and I can shoot the guy we're supposed to shoot, and then we can get out of here. I can get out of here. I'll see if I can get mechanics my way into the cockpit. Do a manual override or something.
Okay. You think it'd be a average computers check to try and hack into this thing, to get the thing open, but it would be a hard mechanics check to try and kind of unravel and get into the system.
That's kind of the same back and forth I was having earlier of like, I'll try computers.
Okay.
I only have a 2 in intellect. I guess I only have
You're a bounty hunter, not a nerd.
2 successes.
2 successes. So you kind of go up and the controls and stuff of it. It seems like it's encoded to, like, it'll quickly open for somebody who is like kind of bound to it in some sort of way or has some sort of remote control to open it. It takes a little bit of finagling with the computer system, but you're able to hacker man your way to make the cockpit slide open. On the side, there's a number of different controls.
Just start
pushing buttons.
I mean, I do have piloting in both planetary and space as career skills. I don't necessarily have ranks in them, but like...
I'll say it's going to be an average piloting, either, whichever one you want. Average piloting check to, like, kind of... You could use that to kind of discern what most of these controls would do in a ship and find the one that doesn't make sense.
2 successes, 1 threat.
2 success, 1 threat. we'll say, for the sake of making this very interesting, you can hear what sounds like somebody one level below you stomping fairly heavily. Like you hear like a what's going on here from the level below, and hear footsteps moving quickly towards the stairs on the floor below you. But there is one button that seems to not make a whole lot of sense inside of this thing, and you can tell like the way these would normally be set up, it's kind of like a small button down on the side by where the legs would sit, and there would never be any reason for a button like that when you're piloting this thing, and it seems to you don't think it'd have any function normally in a
I'll tell I'll tell my hired gun to keep an eye on top of the stairs.
Okay.
And I'll hit the button.
Okay. He'll kind of step over, pulling out his blaster pistol, and move towards the top of the stairs while you push the button and you hear something below you, like...
Hop out of this guy's ship.
Hopping out, you can see that there's like... It's almost like an arm that kind of swings, that kind of brings out this sled that seems to be sized like a coffin, more or less. And there is a person that's inside of it, not encased in carbonite, but in almost like... Not exactly, like almost like a fluid-filled tank that goes right over the top of him, and he seems to be fairly comatose inside of it. And you don't know, it doesn't look like it's back to inside of there. Some sort of fluid that seems to be kind of like preserving and keeping the body unconscious.
Or something.
It's like a hypersleep fluid of some sort. Seems pretty high end, whatever it is.
Yeah, this guy's pretty fancy. I'll try just shooting it.
It'll give him some additional soak. The fluid will give him some soak, but it's like a Duraplast kind of plastic coating that a blaster would fire through. So for the sake of this, it'll be. I'm not going. I mean, it's not really going to be a difficulty because you can just press it against this and pull the trigger. So just do a ranged of whatever weapon you're doing. And it'll just have some additional soak applied to it. See if you do enough.
I'll do it with the... I should do it with the heavy blaster rifle. Why not? It's my better skill anyway. 2 success, 1 advantage. That is 12... That is 12 damage.
12 damage.
And you know what? Buddy over there gets a blue on his next check.
He's gonna need it. So with that blast, 12 you said? Mm-hmm. It blasts in there and like hits. It is able to blast through and hit this guy. And you can see this kind of pool of fluid immediately start to kind of turn a whatever their blood is. We'll call it green. This kind of somewhat bluish starts to kind of turn to more of a turquoise as some of his blood is. Kind of coming out and inside of this thing, but you're not convinced he's dead inside of there. Just
in that case, I'll give him a second one.
Okay. You hear somebody like hearing like this heavy footfalls moving across below you. You think whoever this individual is gets to the bottom of the stairs. Okay. And then it'll be like your turning basically.
I'll take a second shot.
Okay. Same thing. You don't have to. Roll for it. And I'll say for the sake of this one, I will not, if you keep the blaster where it was, where this new hole is made inside of this thing, I won't give it the additional soak.
2 success, 4 advantages. Do I have anything especially beneficial I can spend these advantages on? Maybe.
You can make it be a critical, but at this point I don't know if that's necessary.
I triggered auto fire. I will gain +1 range defense until the end of my next turn.
Okay.
And
how much damage is that?
That's 12.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm not going to gain the range defense. I am Let's not. Specific options. Not always have to be the only options available, stuff like that. But I don't see anything in here about only being able to buy stuff, essentially like stuff off of the table once. And when you have a whole bunch of them, I think the idea is to spend a whole bunch of them. I would like to give myself a couple of blue on my next check, which is probably going to be a stealth check.
Okay, you have a couple of blue for your next check. Your heavy will make it to the top of the stairs at this point, running across over to where these stairs are, and it's kind of like ready a blaster pistol aimed down there. And I have some dice to roll. You hear screams. You hear screams.
You hear screams. Rolls damage. You hear screams.
The guy at the top of the stairs shoots. And you don't hear any screams or anything come from the bottom of the stairs. The guy on the bottom of the stairs also shoots. And so this guy kind of like, you see him kind of ready, and then you see like, and like he just tumbles back dead immediately.
At least I didn't have to shoot him.
And then it is your move after that. This individual has not made it to the top of the stairs.
Are there multiple stairs out of this place?
There's only the one set and the elevator, which are more or less next to each other. It is kind of like a traditional parking garage,
right,
to where like you could jump over the edge if you wanted. You might have to break through some glass. There might be a sign that you did that behind, but you could do so.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter if there's a sign. As long as I can, like, get away before he actually tracks me down. My objectives have been accomplished. So, I think I can probably afford to just dive out a window, essentially. Which is probably what I'll do.
Okay.
I've got a couple blues for any check that I need to make here, so I'm completely confident in myself.
So you're gonna try and basically run and dive through that window and get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and roll me an athletics to do that. And we'll call it a. To like dive, it's not really a hard action to physically do. It's more to do in a way that doesn't hurt too bad and keeps you with like forward momentum and stuff. I'm gonna call it a hard for this. It'll be a hard athletics check. But failing doesn't necessarily mean
I bounce off the window.
You die, you fall to your death or anything. It's just it might not be as graceful.
2 success, 1 advantage.
All right, I'm gonna say that you dive through this and kind of tumble out to the bottom level, and because of like I'm going to choose how you spend because it's how you're going to spend it anyways. It's going to give you a blue basically on your next check. You kind of tumble and land somewhere that naturally kind of leads into an alley that you think would give you a decent chance to like duck away. If you'd like to roll a stealth as well.
I should at least try and move somewhat stealthily.
You can try and move quicker, but it'll be easier to follow you, basically. But
yeah.
If you try and kind of step lightly and stuff, you might be able to kind of do more of evasive maneuvers and less of just beeline sprint.
Yeah, we'll start with that. What difficulty of stealth?
We'll call it average.
Just 4 advantages. It would have been 5 advantages if that one threat hadn't cancelled it out.
You don't necessarily move super quietly, but you move in a way where you end up next to where your speeder was.
Oh, convenient.
For advantages. So, like, you feel like anyone who was really wanting to follow you would be able to follow you to where your speeder was parked. But from there, you're at your speeder and can move much quicker.
Oh, that'll be good enough.
And stuff happens back where you came from. Who knows what that is because you're not there. And then it's your turn again if you'd like to hop on your speeder and jitfo. You can do so, and
I'm out of here.
You're able to leave. Who knows if this individual has your trail or not? You don't get shot in the back while you're speeding away.
If I expect if he shows back up, it'll be a couple days when I least expect it. So once I'm like, once I'm reasonably confident that I'm in the clear, I'll stop and call it in.
Okay. Calling into that, a different voice answers. Again, not the last one you talked to, but also not someone you recognize as being Kadan. And if you do like, this is Riden, the job's done.
I'd probably just tell him the job's done.
And the person, is this Riden? There's probably multiple people who use the kind of same comm channels. Just want to make sure.
Yes.
The target has been eliminated then?
Yes.
At your earliest convenience, Kadan will see you at the HQ.
I'll head over right now.
Very well. You can drive there.
I'm starting to feel more like an assassin than a hunter. Hey, Riden, come here and kill this guy for us. Hey, Riden, go over here and kill this guy for us.
Don't worry, you've only been on the wrong side of Tatooine connections, the Pikes, and the Black Sun so far.
Yeah, great.
Who knows what those Tatooine connections could be? They could be anybody. Jabba.
Could even be Jabba.
You never know. Good stuff. Good stuff. So you arrive back.
Technically, it could be Orog Odlor as well.
Could be Orog. You never know.
But
we don't know canonically where the timing.
Yes, and something tells me that even if that is a possibility, I don't need to worry about it for too much longer.
Yeah, I don't think good old Odlor of the Hutt is something I'd be too concerned about long term in terms of being disagreeable on terms with. You arrive back. Typical. Put your blaster in the cubby. Go upstairs. Yada yada. Arrive. Kadan Tazi is there. And he's.
I'm not sure he ever leaves.
It seems like he's always here. Either they let him know and he comes up and like cleans himself up and looks at him. Yes, I'm very busy. It seems like he's working up here fairly constantly. And you're able to arrive and he asks for like, so what happened? How did it go down?
Well, Murthas got to the target first, but it wasn't hard to track down his ship. While Murthas was paying for some damages done to a casino, we found his ship, found his bounty, killed him, and unfortunately the other gun with me took a bolt from Murthas in the head. But
these things can't be avoided in our line of work, I'm afraid.
Nope. And, you know, if he hadn't been wearing that uniform, Murthas might never have known who'd done it.
Should have thought about that before I had it given to him for this particular mission. Very well. And he, can we go into a vibro drawer? Everything's vibro.
That'd be the most annoying thing. You're sitting there at a desk trying to get work done, and all the drawers are just like making noise and just
so
rattling constantly. Oh, it'd be horrible.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It'd be like having your phone on vibrate, but starts vibrating and then just never stops.
And there's 4 phones, 1 in each drawer. And he will hand you an amount of credits. It seems fairly considerable. And he's going to say that, excellent work. I'm sure we will have more for you soon enough. We are working on something at the moment. There's a rather shady individual who is needing something done, but we're getting the exact details still ironed out. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if it's something we would like to send you on, as you are quickly becoming one of our more reliable individual agents.
That's all I ever really intend to be, is reliable.
Then keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate the payment.
Appreciate the work.
I will head on home.
Okay. You head
Glad
home.
that for once I didn't get shot.
You
on
head
the job.
home 8,000 credits richer.
Sheesh.
These guys appear to have a good amount of money and aren't afraid to throw it around for what they want to get done.
13,000. I'd almost buy my own ship for that. Well, he says it's 17,000, but
Huh?
17,000. I'd almost buy our own ship for that.
Nice.
I love the idea of Luke being that guy who's always on the lookout for a car to fix up. You know what I mean? So he's just like 17. He's like I've had my eye on a ship over at Tashi Station. It's 20. It's just like, you know what I mean? He's just like he's like, I'll fly it. Just buy me a car.
That actually though, like even a pretty small starfighter that's got hyperdrive would be like 70 to 80,000. Ships are kind of expensive.
It's true.
Unless you got a total hunk of junk.
That's a hunk of junk. Wow. I got a lot of money to spend on sweet armor. Hopefully, eventually. Now's the time for it. Now's the time for it. I've got the money for it. Wow. I'll go home and drink my bottle of Curlian whiskey and see how much damage Skull has inadvertently caused to the ship that Garrow's working on.
You go back to your good old the junkyard, as the junkyard dog, of course, and arriving there, like, it's nighttime. Nothing versatile. It's always foggy and miserable, but Garrow seems to be asleep. Your friend seems to just kind of be standing menacingly in the lobby of the shop. Nothing seems to have burnt down or gotten too badly broken. You kind of like open the door and walk in like, Jesus, he's just standing there. Welcome home.
Thanks. World's best security system's a B2 battle droid. That's what I always say. Any trouble?
No.
Didn't really expect there would be. Not with you around. I would rob that place, but look.
I got B2 battle droid. And not a regular one. One that's also a gangster, apparently. An OG-B2. That's what I should. It should have been B2 OG. Ah, damn. Missed opportunity. Skull's cool, though.
I like Skull. Well, like, since it's night, I guess I'll get some sleep.
Okay.
I'll tell B2 that if he sees a big angry fella in heavy armor with hordes, come wake me up.
He will do so.
And we'll just leave. And maybe the two of us could take him, but that's still not a fight I want to pick.
The two of you against him in a fair fight would maybe be a fair fight. He's a big deal. He's a serious bounty hunter.
Heavy battle armor's no joke. It may well not be standard heavy battle armor either. I'd sort of be surprised if it was. Yeah. Crash on the cot for the night, and then see what tomorrow brings.
Okay.
Yes.